Mr. Carson sat at his large glass desk, staring out the tall window of his mansion. The city lights sparkled below, but his eyes looked empty. Ever since his wife passed away, he had become cold, quiet, and distant. His daughter, Lily, was only 5 years old. She hadn't spoken a word since the funeral. He didn't know how to help her. Today he had only one goal: find a nanny who could take care of Lily. Not just clean, cook, and watch her. Someone who could make her smile again. One by one, women came into the room. Some were well-dressed. Some spoke with fancy words. Most of them smiled too much when they saw his suit or his house. None of them felt right. Then, a woman walked in, quietly. Her clothes were simple and worn. Her hands looked like they had seen hard work. She didn't smile too wide or speak too much. "My name is Asha," she said softly. "I've worked with children before." Mr. Carson glanced at her file. It was thin. No college, no big letters of recommendation, just some part-time work and volunteer jobs at shelters. He almost told her to leave, but then Lily walked into the room. The little girl had been hiding behind the door, peeking. Asha looked at her and gave a small, warm smile. "Hello, Lily," she said gently. "Would you like to sit with me?" To Mr. Carson's surprise, Lily slowly walked over and sat beside Asha. She didn't speak, but she didn't run away either. That was new. Carson narrowed his eyes. "How did you do that?" he asked. Asha looked up. "Children feel things adults don't. I didn't do anything. She just wanted someone quiet." Carson didn't reply. He had no reason to trust this woman. She had no strong background, no degrees, no fancy training. But there was something calm about her, something honest. He had interviewed 20 women, and none of them made Lily come out from behind a door. "You can start tomorrow," he said. Asha blinked in surprise. "Thank you, sir." The next day, Asha arrived at 7 a.m. sharp. She brought nothing with her except a small bag and a gentle voice. She didn't ask many questions. She didn't look around the mansion in amazement. She just sat beside Lily and started showing her pictures in a book. Carson watched from his office camera. Lily didn't speak, but she stared at the pictures. Then she leaned her head on Asha's arm. That night, Carson stood outside Lily's bedroom. Asha was sitting on the bed, humming a song, a soft lullaby. Carson froze. That tune. It sounded familiar, very familiar. He listened closely. It was the same song his wife used to sing to Lily at bedtime. He stepped back, confused. How did Asha know that song? He didn't ask. Days passed. Asha cooked simple meals, read stories, and sat with Lily in the garden. Lily still didn't speak, but she smiled more. She drew pictures. She held Asha's hand while walking. Carson started, coming home earlier just to see how Lily was doing. One evening, he opened the front door quietly and heard something that stopped him cold. A voice. A small, soft voice. Lily's voice. He moved slowly toward the hallway and peeked into the living room. There she was, sitting cross-legged on the carpet with Asha holding a teddy bear. She was speaking in short, broken words, but she was speaking. Carson's heart dropped. He leaned against the wall, stunned. Asha didn't notice him. She just smiled gently and listened to every word Lily said, like it was the most beautiful sound in the world. Later that night, Carson stood in the hallway outside Asha's room. He wanted to ask her, "Who are you really? How do you know that song? Why does my daughter trust you?" But he couldn't bring himself to knock. Instead, he went to his own room. He lay awake thinking. Something about Asha didn't add up. She was too good with Lily, too gentle, too quiet. And that song, how did she know it? He closed his eyes and remembered the sound of his daughter's voice. It had been months since she last said anything. Something was happening. Something deep. He didn't know it yet, but his world was about to change forever. The next morning, Mr. Carson sat at the kitchen table pretending to read the newspaper, but his eyes kept shifting toward the hallway. He was waiting. waiting to hear that voice again, and then it happened. A soft laugh, a tiny giggle. Lily was laughing. Carson slowly stood up and walked toward the garden. He stopped by the glass door and peeked outside. Lily was running around the grass, chasing butterflies. Asha sat on the bench, smiling gently. In her hand was a tiny music box. It played a familiar tune, the same lullaby from last night. The moment felt warm, almost peaceful. But something still bothered him. Later that day, Carson decided to ask his daughter a question. Something simple. He knelt beside her and said, "Lily, do you like Asha?" Lily nodded. "Why?" he asked softly. She feels like Mommy," Lily whispered. Carson's eyes widened. He didn't expect that answer. Not from her. That evening, Carson called Asha into his study. The fire crackled in the background. Asha walked in quietly and stood by the door, her hands folded. "I want to ask you something," he said. She nodded. "Where did you learn that lullaby? The one you sang to Lily?" Asha paused. Her eyes dropped to the floor. She didn't answer right away. "It's an old song," she said finally. "From when I was young." "Where did you grow up?" he asked. "Different places," she replied. "Foster homes, shelters." Carson narrowed his eyes. "Did you know my wife?" Asha looked up slowly. Her face showed something, a flicker of emotion. Maybe sadness, maybe fear. "No," she said. "Not personally. Not personally." That word stayed in Carson's mind all night. The next day, Asha and Lily painted in the sunroom. Carson watched them from behind the curtain. Lily was telling Asha a story, using her voice freely now. She looked happy, alive. Asha listened closely, always patient, always calm. When the painting was done, Lily held it up proudly. It was a picture of 3 people, Lily, Asha, and a woman with long, dark hair. She pointed at the 3rd figure. "That's Mommy," she said. Asha gently touched the picture and whispered, "You draw her so beautifully." That night, Carson went into the attic for the first time in months. He opened a box of old photos, pictures of his wife, her childhood, her college days. Then he stopped. In one photo, taken in front of an old orphanage, his wife stood smiling, arm around another girl. That girl looked just like Asha. Younger, smaller, but the eyes, same kind eyes. He picked up the photo, heart pounding. The next morning, he laid the photo on the dining table and called Asha in. "Is this you?" he asked, pointing at the picture. Asha froze. Her hands trembled slightly. "Yes," she whispered. "You told me you didn't know my wife personally." "I didn't lie," Asha said quietly. "I didn't know her as your wife. I knew her as my sister." Silence filled the room. Mr. Carson sat down slowly, stunned. "Sister?" Asha nodded. Her eyes began to water, but her voice stayed calm. "We're separated in foster care. I spent years looking for her. When I finally found her, it was already too late. I read about the accident. I cried for days." Carson stared at her, unsure what to feel. Anger, confusion, grief. "Why didn't you tell me from the start?" he asked. "Because I didn't come to take anything," she replied. "I only wanted to see Lily, to protect her. She's my only family left." Carson stood up, his face unreadable. "You should have told me." "I was scared," Asha said. "You wouldn't have trusted me." He didn't answer. Asha turned to leave. But Lily stood at the doorway, holding her teddy bear. "Your Mommy's sister?" she asked. Asha knelt down slowly. "Yes, sweetheart, I'm your aunt." Lily ran into her arms. Carson watched in silence. Something inside him shifted. For the first time in a long time, he felt something break inside the cold walls of his heart. That night, Carson sat alone in his study, holding the photo. He remembered his wife's stories, how she always believed her sister was out there somewhere, how she never stopped hoping to find her. Maybe this was her final gift. Maybe Asha was meant to be here. But still, he wasn't ready to forgive. Not. Yet he reached for his phone. "Get me a private investigator," he said. "I want a full report on Asha. Everything." Mr. Carson sat in his dark study long after the lights had gone out in the rest of the house. The photo of his wife and Asha lay on the desk. His fingers tapped the edge slowly. His mind was spinning. He had believed Asha was just a poor woman, kind-hearted and harmless. But now she had a history tied to his wife, one she had hidden. It didn't feel right. He needed answers. He needed to know everything. The next morning, Carson's private investigator, Mr. Hale, arrived. A quiet man with sharp eyes and a leather notebook. Hale listened carefully to Carson's request. "I want to know who she really is, where she came from, what she's done, and why she came here," Carson said. Hale gave a small nod. "You'll have my report in 3 days." As Hale left, Carson turned toward the garden. Outside, Asha helped Lily ride a bicycle for the first, and the little girl's laughter filled the air. She was healing, happy. But Carson couldn't forget Asha's lie. That evening, Carson watched the nanny cam footage. It was something he rarely did. But now he needed to see how Asha behaved when no one was looking. What he saw surprised him. Asha was gentle. She tucked Lily in, read stories, and sometimes just sat beside her, quietly watching her sleep. In one clip, she was crying. Silently, alone. She didn't know the camera was on. Carson leaned back, confused. If Asha had a secret motive, she was hiding it well. The next day, strange things began to happen. Carson noticed his office drawer slightly open, one where he kept his wife's old journals. At first, he thought it was nothing. Then he found a page missing. He called Asha in. His voice was sharp. "Now, did you go through my drawer?" Asha looked shocked. "No, sir, I would never. You're the only one with access to this room besides me." She shook her head. "I swear, I didn't touch anything." Carson didn't believe her. He simply nodded and said, "You may go." But now the doubt had grown. That night, Carson couldn't sleep. He kept thinking about Asha. Was she really here for Lily? Or was she after something else? His wife had come from nothing. She'd always been secretive about her early years. Maybe she had left something behind. Money, papers, even a hidden will. Could Asha be looking for it? The next day, Carson searched the house. In the attic, he found a small locked box. It was covered in dust, hidden beneath a pile of old blankets. The key was long lost, but Carson forced it open with a tool. Inside was a stack of letters. Handwritten. Yellowed with time. Letters from Asha to his wife. Each one full of hope, sorrow, and longing. "I miss you, big sister. I dream of finding you every night. I heard you were adopted. I wish I had been chosen with you. I don't want your money, I just want you." Carson sat down, stunned. She had been writing for years, searching, wishing. These weren't the words of a liar. They were the words of someone lost. Later that evening, Hale returned. He handed Carson a folder. The report and something unexpected. Carson opened the file. It was all there, Asha's childhood, her time in foster homes, her clean record, and her years of working small jobs. But one photo stood out. It showed Asha sitting beside hospital bed, his wife's hospital bed. Carson's hands shook. "She was there?" he whispered. Hale nodded. "Yes, your wife had asked to see her in her final hours. She found Asha just weeks before the accident." Carson felt something deep inside him crack. "She knew," he whispered. "She found her." That night, Carson didn't sleep again. He sat in the nursery, watching Lily sleep peacefully. He finally understood. Asha hadn't lied to trick him. She had been protecting a broken piece of her past, her pain, her story, and maybe she had been protecting Lily too. The next morning, he found Asha in the kitchen. She looked tired, worried, like she knew her time here was ending. Carson sat across from her and said, "I know about the letters, the hospital, everything." Asha didn't speak. Her eyes filled with tears. "I thought you were hiding something dark," he said. "But now I see. You were only hiding pain." "I didn't want to hurt Lily," she whispered. "Or you." Carson nodded slowly. "You didn't. You helped us both." But deep down, a new question still burned in his mind. Why hadn't his wife ever told him about Asha? And what else? Had she hidden? The morning sun lit the kitchen softly, but the air between Mr. Carson and Asha was heavy. Neither of them touched their tea. "I want to know everything," Carson said gently. "No more secrets." Asha looked down, her hands shaking slightly. "It's a long story. I have time." She took a breath, then began. "I was born in a small town," Asha said. "We didn't have much. My mother worked 2 jobs. My father was never around. One day a family came, rich, kind. They adopted my big sister, said they could only take 1 child." Carson froze. His heart beat faster. "That sister," Asha whispered, "was Emily, your wife." Carson leaned back, shocked. Even though he already suspected it, hearing it aloud felt different. "Real. I tried to find her for years. Sent letters to every Emily with her last name. I never gave up." Tears ran down her cheeks. Then, "One day," she replied. Asha pulled out a small piece of paper from her pocket. It was wrinkled and soft from being folded and unfolded so many times. It was a short letter in beautiful handwriting. "My dearest Asha, I never stopped thinking about you. I'm sorry I didn't come back sooner. I want to meet. I want Lily to meet you too. Please come, love, Emily." Carson read it slowly. It was definitely Emily's writing. Asha continued. "She invited me to visit. I stayed 2 nights at a hotel near the hospital. She told me everything." Carson blinked. "Why didn't she tell me?" "She wanted to. But she was scared. Scared you wouldn't believe her. That you'd think she had lied about her past." Carson stood up and walked to the window. So many memories of Emily came back. Nights they laughed, her quiet sadness, the way she never talked about her childhood. Now it made sense. She had buried it, not out of shame, but out of pain. He turned. "Back. You said you stayed 2 nights?" Asha nodded. "Yes, the second night she asked me to promise something. Something big." "What did she ask?" Asha hesitated. "She made me promise that if anything ever happened to her, I'd protect Lily." Carson's eyes widened. "She said I'd be the only one Lily would connect with. She was afraid. Something might happen." A heavy silence followed. Carson looked at Asha with new eyes now, not as a stranger or a liar, but as a sister-in-law. And maybe a protector. Still, one thing haunted him. "Emily never told me she was sick," he said, voice tight. Asha nodded slowly. "She didn't want you to worry. She was waiting for the right moment." Carson clenched his jaw. And then, the car crash. Asha looked down. "Yes, she was on her way to meet me again. She said she'd bring Lily next time." Carson's chest ached. His wife died with a secret in her heart, a secret she wanted to heal. Later that day, Carson took a walk through the garden. Lily ran up to him, giggling. She was holding a small drawing. "Daddy, look." It was a picture of 3 people holding hands, Lily, Asha, and Emily with angel wings. Carson knelt beside her, eyes tearing up. "Did Asha help you draw this?" Lily nodded. "She told me Mama loved me so much, and that Mama wanted us to smile." Carson kissed his daughter's forehead. He felt something shift in him. He was beginning to understand. That evening, Carson went to the attic again. He opened one of Emily's old journals, pages full of poetry and drawings. Halfway through, he found a folded envelope taped inside. His name was written on it. "To David, if I'm gone." His hands trembled as he opened it. "My love, if you're reading this, I'm sorry. I wanted to tell you about Asha in person, but time slipped away. She's my sister. She's kind. She's strong. Please don't push her away. She'll protect Lily when I no longer can, and maybe she'll help you heal too. Don't live in anger, live in love. Yours, Emily." Carson sat for a long time, holding the letter against his chest. It was the last piece of her heart. Later, he walked down to the living room where Asha was reading to Lily. He waited until the story ended. Then he said, "I found the letter. The one Emily left me." Asha looked up, startled. Carson smiled gently. "She was right. You were sent here for a reason." Asha blinked. "You believe me now?" He nodded. "Yes. And I'm sorry I doubted you." Her voice shook. "You don't have to say sorry, I understand." Carson looked at Lily. She's laughing again. Sleeping peacefully. You gave that back to her. Asha smiled softly. She gave it back to me, too. But just when peace seemed to return, Carson's phone rang. Unknown number. He answered, and his face changed instantly. He stood up, eyes wide, hand trembling. Asha looked up. "What's wrong?" Carson stared at the phone, then at her. "They said someone's been watching the house." Asha froze. "What do you mean?" "They said someone's digging into your past." Asha's face went pale. "I think someone else knows who you are." Mr. Carson ended the call and slowly lowered the phone. His face had changed, his calm expression replaced with worry. Asha noticed immediately. "What did they say?" Carson looked at her, unsure how much to reveal. "That call. It came from my private security team. Someone's been asking questions. About you." Asha's heart skipped a beat. "About me?" He nodded. "They didn't say who, but someone came to the gate yesterday pretending to be from the city records office. Said they were doing a background check on you." Asha went silent. Her hands tightened around the cup of tea she hadn't even sipped. That evening, Asha sat in her room, staring out the window. She could see Lily playing in the garden with her nanny doll, laughing as the sun went down. But Asha couldn't enjoy the moment. Her past, the one she tried so hard to bury, was waking up again. She got up, opened her drawer, and pulled out an old photograph, faded, torn at the corners. It showed two young girls, herself and Emily, standing, barefoot outside a worn-down house. Asha whispered, "I kept my promise, Emily, but I don't know how long I can protect her." Late at night, Carson couldn't sleep. He sat in his office, reading over the letter Emily had left him again and again. His thoughts were racing. Who would want to know about Asha? Why now? Suddenly, the doorbell rang. He glanced at the clock. 11:47. PM frowning. He got up, checked the camera at the front gate. A man stood there in a dark coat holding a briefcase. Carson turned on the intercom. "It's late. What do you want?" The man looked up at the camera. His face was cold, his voice calm. "I need to speak to Asha. It's urgent." Carson's fingers hovered over the security panel. Something about the man felt wrong. He called his guard. "Don't let him in. Ask for his ID." A moment later, the guard returned to the screen. "Sir, he says he's from social services. Claims there was a mistake in Asha's file." Carson narrowed his eyes. "What kind of mistake?" "He won't say." Carson looked down the hallway toward the guest room. Asha was still awake. She had heard the bell. He walked to her room. "Asha, there's a man at the gate. He says he's from social services." Her face went pale instantly. "No," she whispered. "Not him." "What do you mean?" Carson asked. Asha's eyes were full of fear. "I know who that is. His name isn't real. He's not from any agency. He used to work with a man I ran from years ago." Carson's jaw tightened. "What man?" Asha swallowed hard. "The man who tried to buy me." Carson looked confused. "Buy you?" Asha sat down, voice shaking. "After Emily was adopted, I stayed behind. Life got worse. My mother died. I was alone. Then a man came, rich, dangerous. He gave money to poor families and took young girls away. I escaped before he could take me." Asha wiped her eyes. "I changed my name. I lived quietly. I worked. Jobs no one noticed. But when I came here, maybe someone saw me. Maybe he remembered." Carson paced the room. "Are you saying this man is still looking for you?" She nodded slowly. "I think he's found me again." Outside, the security guard came back on the speaker. Sir, he's insisting. He says if you don't let him in, he'll come back with legal papers. Carson pressed the button. Tell him to leave. Now. The guard nodded and walked away. Carson turned back to Asha. Pack a bag, we're leaving. Leaving? She asked, surprised. Yes. Tonight. I'm not letting Lily stay in this house with someone watching. And I'm not letting you be taken by some man from your past. Asha stared at him. But where will we go? I have a cottage near the lake. No one knows about it. We'll stay there until I find out who that man really is. Asha hesitated, then nodded. For the first time, she wasn't just protecting Lily. Someone was protecting her too. By midnight, Carson, Asha, and Lily were on the road in a black SUV. Lily was asleep in the back seat, hugging her stuffed bunny. Carson drove with one hand and held a small pistol in the other, just in case. Asha sat beside him, quiet, nervous. She looked out the window at the dark trees flying past. I didn't mean to bring danger into your life, she whispered. Carson didn't look away from the road. You didn't. You saved Lily's. Ours. Later, they reached a small lakeside house hidden between tall trees. Inside, it was quiet, safe, warm. They settled in. Lily curled up on the couch and fell back asleep. Asha looked around. This place, it feels peaceful. Carson nodded. It's where Emily and I used to come when we needed to escape. Asha smiled sadly. Maybe she brought us here again. But just as they began to rest, Carson's phone buzzed again. Message. No number, no name, just a photo. Asha and Lily, taken earlier that day. The message read, "You can't hide her forever." Carson's hands went cold. He showed Asha the phone. Her face went white. Outside, the wind howled, and in the darkness, someone was watching the house from the trees. The night air was cold and still. Inside the small lake house, everything was quiet. Quiet. Mr. Carson stood near the window, staring out into the darkness. He still held the phone with the chilling message, "You can't hide her forever." His grip tightened. Asha sat beside a sleeping Lily on the couch. She gently brushed the girl's hair, her hands shaking slightly. "She's scared," Asha whispered, "but I'm more scared. Not for myself, but for her. For Lily." Carson turned. "No one is taking her. No one is taking you." But deep down he knew, whoever had sent that message was close. A few hours passed. The wind blew, harder now, rattling the windows. Carson barely blinked as he watched the trees, waiting for movement. Then, a sound. A twig snapped. He grabbed his gun and motioned for Asha to stay back. "I'll go outside, lock the door. Don't open it unless it's me." "No, don't go alone," Asha begged, but he was already out the door. Outside, the forest was dark and full of shadows. Carson moved slowly, silently. Then, he saw a flicker of light behind a tree. He raised his gun. "Come out." "Nothing." I said, "Come out." Slowly, a man stepped forward, dressed in black, holding nothing. His face was familiar. Cold, smiling. "You must be Mr. Carson," the man said calmly. "I'm just here for what belongs to my employer." Carson's voice was ice. "No one here belongs to anyone." The man's smile didn't fade. "You're protecting someone who lied to you. A girl with a past full of secrets." "I know her secrets," Carson said. "And I still choose to protect her." The man took a step forward. "She's stolen something, a child that isn't hers." Carson's eyes narrowed. "That child is my daughter." The man paused. "Is she?" Meanwhile, inside the house, Asha was holding Lily tightly. She looked out the window and saw Carson facing the man alone. Fear filled her heart. Then, another thought came. She had run all her life, hid, pretended to be no one. Just a poor woman with no past. But now, Lily needed her. She couldn't run again. Asha opened the drawer and pulled out a small notebook. Emily's journal. The one she had hidden all these years. She took Lily's hand. "We have to tell him the truth," Asha whispered. Lily looked confused. "What truth?" Asha smiled softly. "About your mom and about you. Outside, the man pulled out a phone. "Call the police and I'll send this photo to every lawyer in the city," he said. "Let them see the child living with a woman who has no papers, no family, no right." Carson stayed calm. "You really think I'm afraid of your threats?" Before the man could answer, the front door opened. Asha stepped outside. She was holding Lily's hand and the notebook. Carson turned. "Asha, go back inside." "No," she said firmly. "It's time." She walked toward them slowly. The whined, pulling at her coat. She opened the journal. "This is Emily's handwriting," she said. "And this is her secret." The man frowned. "What are you doing?" Asha looked straight at him. "Telling the truth." She held out the journal to Carson. He read the page. His eyes widened. The words were clear, written by Emily. "If anything happens to me, I want Asha to raise Lily. She's the only one I trust. She's not just my best friend. She's Lily's godmother, her protector." Asha's voice shook. "Emily and I met at the shelter. She was more than my friend. She was my sister. When she got sick, she made me promise to stay close, to look after Lily." She took a deep breath. "And I did. Even if I had to pretend to be someone I'm not." Carson looked at Asha, his heart heavy. All this time, Asha hadn't lied. She had protected them. The man scoffed. "This won't hold." "Bincourt, a journal is not legal proof." Carson raised his gun. "But it's enough for me, and if you ever come near my daughter or Asha again, I will bury you in your threats." The man's face changed. For the first time, he looked nervous. Without another word, he turned and disappeared into the trees. Later that night, the police arrived. Carson had already made the call. He gave them the journal and everything they needed. He also made another call, to a lawyer, a good one. Asha would get protection, a legal name, and a future. In the morning, sunlight poured through the windows. Lily ran through the house laughing, her little bunny in hand. Carson sat with Asha on the porch, 2 mugs of tea between them. "She's happy again," Asha said, smiling. Carson nodded. "Because of you." He looked at her. "Asha, I was blind for a long time. After Emily died, I forgot how to care, how to love." She met his eyes. "But you reminded me," he said softly, "and you saved my daughter." He reached out and took her hand. "I don't want you to leave. I want you to stay with us." Asha's eyes filled with tears. "I will, always."